Okay, so let's take a look at dealing with errors, and I want to show you a few things in the code. You'll see some things in the PowerPoint. I'm just going to focus just on this really quickly, and then we're going to jump over into Visual Studio. So three different types of errors that you will see: syntax errors, runtime errors, and logic errors. And we'll look at syntax errors in a second. Those are things like misspelling a word or other things. We'll see that in a second. I'll show you in the code. Runtime errors are typically things where you might see that the program will compile, goes through the build and everything looks great. But let's say, for example, you've written code in there to pull data from a file. And so you run the program and it gets to the point where you're looking up data from that particular file, and the program goes to find the file and the path is wrong, so it can't find the file. You forgot to put it in the right folder, whatever it might be, right? It was typed in wrong, whatever. So you have that would be just an example of a runtime error. So then the program would error, and you have to go fix that little baby. All right. So the other two types of errors: syntax errors and logic errors. I'll go logic errors first. Logic errors are typically things where as you're going through the program, the compiler doesn't find anything wrong with it. The program executes. You've got your apps running and everything's great, and you don't notice anything wrong at all. And then you realize, oh, wait a second, the data that it is exporting here is not correct. And so perhaps in that situation, let's say you have a storefront and you wanted to have a, I don't know, 25% off sale. So you have your regular price that's displayed, and then you want to take 25% off, and that's the new price that people, when they're on the site, they're going to see it. They're going to click, oh, there. Look, we have this great sale. We're going to buy this stuff, right? So let's say when you are setting up the 25% off, you accidentally add 25%. That's the type of error that the compiler doesn't care about, right? So the computer doesn't find any errors with it, and you're like, oh, wow, the sale price is actually more than the regular price. So that is just a quick example of a logic error. So you have to be careful of those, and those you usually find on your own. They're the hardest to find, but you'll find them when you're looking at results from data, and you're like, wait a second, what's going on here? So anyway, so that's logic error. Let's take a look at a syntax error, and I think it's more fun to look at in Visual Studio. So here's our little Teddy Roosevelt thing that we've used for a million things, and let's take a look at some errors that you might see. So a typo that you might see, and I want to show you how Visual Studio handles them a little bit. Okay, so and we'll take a look at this later on in a little bit more detail, and the book goes into this too. But notice how this has this little like dot 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 around it, and it's like kind of shaded in. So that's one type of thing, and I'm skipping over the error correcting and that kind of stuff for now, but you can play with that if you'd like. But for now, we're gonna skip over. For now, I wanted to mainly focus on syntax errors. So let's say we have this piece that's been typed in, and we're gonna go ahead and put this on here. So instead of me.close, we have me dot, I don't know, I guess Chloe. So anyway, but you notice how we have this little like red squiggly line underneath it. Okay, so that's one of the situations that Visual Studio is like, hey, wait a second, there may be a little bit of an error here. Kind of like when you misspell a word and you're typing in a Microsoft document. So maybe you're in Microsoft Word and you're typing and it's like, wait a second, you see the little things underneath. So it's a similar kind of concept here, all right? So we know there's a problem there, but if you run it and you try and get this to work, let's go ahead and debug. Let's hit start. And you'll see what'll pop up. There will build errors. Would you like to continue? Da, da, da. You want to say no, so you can fix this. And in here, it pops up the error list. And so you can see it in this with this message right here, boom, it's right here. It's like, hey, wait a second. Our little Chloe, I guess, is not a member of Form 1. So we can't call the method Chloe because it doesn't exist. All right. So it is a typo on there. All right. So that's one way. So if I double click on that, it will go right to the line, which is a very useful feature if this is a really long program. And you're like, oh yeah, wait a second, I just typed this in wrong. So I can go ahead and fix that. And notice that goes away. It disappears off the error list. And we can go ahead and hit our start button again to start debugging this baby. And hopefully, if there are no other errors, then oh, boom, you got your program here, right? Doesn't mean there aren't logic errors, right? But or even runtime errors later on. But for what we're looking at right now, that's pretty much it, and we are good to go on that. So anyway, so useful feature down here for error list. If you don't want to hear at the end, you can close it out. You can always open it again later. So anyway, just the options and some of the things you'll see for different types of errors.